This video is sponsored by my new channel, Aviation Station. Check it out below. The year is 2049. Paris's newly renovated terminal at Charles de Gaulle Airport is hosting a very special aircraft, Airbus's first hypersonic scramjet commercial airliner. This new age aircraft is able to fly 200 passengers up to a top speed of Mach 6 using scramjet technologies developed in the year 2021. Crossing the Atlantic in under 2 hours, this will change the game just like the jet engine did to the propeller and usher in a new age of flying. Are you ready? Put on your seatbelt because it's going to be very fast. Welcome to the hypersonic Mach 6 future. This hypersonic concept aircraft is called the Draco, and it is a fantasy envisioning of a future of aviation as we know it today. It's designed for trunk routes, those flown by aircraft like the Boeing 777 or the Airbus A350 between capitals like Paris, New York, or London to Singapore. But these planes will go much faster, clocking in under 2 hours between North America and Europe, and even quicker over the North Pole to Asia. Unlike the planes that we fly on today, the hypersonic concept plane's engines are decidedly different. This aircraft has twin TBCC engines, or known as the Turbine-based Combined Cycles engine concept. This is how it works. It's all about having the most efficient engine at the right speed. At low speeds, the plane uses a typical turbofan engine to fly and cruise like a normal plane today would. When the aircraft is over the ocean, however, it will switch to its ramjet and move up to and beyond the sound barrier. The turbojet will then shut down until needed or when the aircraft slows down to come into landing. Whilst both engines share an inlet and outlet for airflow, they will have separate airflows inside of the fuselage. This would allow the aircraft to have a speed up to Mach 3 at 95,000 feet, or perhaps as fast as Mach 6 where applicable. Because the aircraft moves so darn fast, its tail is effectively useless for steering. Thus, the design has two canards at the nose of the plane. When it comes to range, this will greatly depend on fuel. This radical design will require at least some form of hydrocarbons or eco-fuel, and is still unlikely by 2050 that we have any other alternative, as this type of fuel is so light and energy dense. For regional travel, however, aircraft would have likely switched to some form of electrical power or hydrogen, but that's a video for another time. You might have also noticed that there are no windows on board, even for the pilot on the flight deck. That's because not only are windows a structural weakness and make the aircraft weigh more, but that super high definition television monitors will be used instead, and are able to show passengers a realistic version of the outside, or anything they want for that matter. Who wants to look at clouds whizzing by when you could literally be anywhere? And if we're really shooting for the moon with this concept, then we could suggest that the entire passenger compartment would also have the ability to be modular and be swapped out when arriving at an airport. As boarding is a wasted time for aircraft on the tarmac, this would allow more operations at packed airports per day, and passengers would be able to board the module at the airport separately, finding their seats, and then be loaded to the airframe itself when it was time for takeoff. These modules would also be able to be swapped out for cargo versions or perhaps commercial spaces such as bars or bedrooms on board. Now, many of the boffins in the comment section are itching to write why this idea is totally unrealistic. So let's talk about some of the roadblocks that are in the way for this fantasy creation. There are some major roadblocks before we see this technology become more feasible. Namely, the first is high-speed legislation, particularly towards sonic booms. In many countries in the world, aircraft are not allowed to project a sonic boom whilst in flight as they travel through their airspace. making such a concept that breaks the sound barrier impossible. It is, however, possible that this aircraft flew high enough that the boom would be minimal, but likely that any aircraft design would be restricted to specific high-speed corridors, like over the North Pole or only over oceans. This would seriously limit the routes that it could fly. This aircraft is also missing some considerable material science. The aircraft would require a totally new material technology to not only survive the high speeds without breaking up, but also be cheap enough for airlines to afford. Thus far, the only Mach 6 aircraft that is in public development, the SR-72, will easily cost $1 billion each, double the list price of the Airbus A350. And we didn't even mention the cost to develop the aircraft for Boeing or Airbus in the first place. So if an airline wants this plane, it's going to have to be much, much cheaper. Cooling will also be an issue. The skin of this aircraft, probably made of titanium, will get as hot as 1,100 degrees Fahrenheit during flight because of air friction, and thus there will have to be some sort of internal cooling system, such as liquid nitrogen, in thousands of small tubes under the surface of the aircraft to stop the passengers frying like an egg. This is actually a major hurdle if we want to take the plane even higher than Mach 3, up to a possible Mach 20, which is the fastest aircraft that we have ever made. So that leaves us with the last question: when will we ever see this type of design? When we look back at the history of aviation, there are several different defined eras. There is the first era of actually getting an aircraft up into the sky, then the propeller, followed by the jet engine and all of its various turbofan designs, and then with the invention of the hypersonic ramjet. Even a quick curious look into the past shows us a time when passengers looked towards military projects with glee, wondering when they too will have their own jet-powered planes. Likely we will see hypersonic aircraft start with the military and then become private business jets like Gulfstream and Boom before entering the mainstream. So the question is, how soon will we see this technology fall into the hands of the common man and woman who, for the small price of $200 or its equivalent Bitcoin-based currency in 2049, to fly Mach 6 anywhere in the world? We know that the military is working on several different ramjet and scramjet designs that can push an aircraft up to and beyond Mach 6. One such project is the mysterious Lockheed Sr-72, which is under development in the United States as a replacement for its spy plane program, which you can enjoy watching right here on the channel. Other projects include Boom Supersonic Overture, the prototype aircraft that was recently unveiled this year and will likely start flight tests very soon. United, Japan Airlines, and Virgin Atlantic have all signed up to get these Concorde Mk2 aircraft for their own fleets for the future. There is also another huge elephant in the room who is working on their own hypersonic vehicle: Boeing. Boeing has a long history of working on projects that go shockingly fast, and even at one point were working on their own American version of the Concorde, the Boeing 2707. So far there is no specific timeline for their concept aircraft, only that it is 20 to 30 years away. Looking over all the research for this video, you can't help but get a sense that this technology is about to usher in an inevitable wave of technological advancement. The future is coming, and it's coming faster than you think. If you like this video, then you might like my new channel, Aviation Station, where I'll be discussing aviation events and other industry news across the scope of the world of aviation. And special thank you to my Patreons that without you would have been unable to keep doing what I'm doing. If you want to have a say in what I do, discuss concepts with me, and see videos early, then jump onto Patreon today and check it out. Thank you so much for watching.